No fan of knives for the muster for battle, as far as I'm aware.
Well, just because I know this list,
Yeah.
it does have one fan of knives at least.
Okay, I think it makes a lot of sense considering the metagame as a whole. Like, you want to be able to deal with those haunted creepers. Muster for battle also being an excessively problematic card in general.
All right. I think we have to talk a bit about Firebat's deck.
Yeah.
We haven't seen this deck yet in this entire tournament, but we just saw a lot of interesting cards in the deck. We saw Humility, we saw Terran Bloodhoof, we saw Guardian of Kings, and there's Deathlord in his hand right now.
Yeah, Deathlord, not a card I expect to see very frequently, but it's definitely a good anti-aggro tech a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think this two Guardian of Kings. I think this Paladin is just meant to be like pure anti-aggro or pure like a super control deck that that wants to survive to the late game.
Yeah, I almost feel like I think I've seen this deck from Firebat recently. I think it was during this tournament. He just played it and it lost automatically to some kind of control deck. So he just it was kind of thrown in the way in order to maybe win a game and sweep out of nowhere. It just didn't do anything and it ended up going nowhere. So it seems to be very heavily teched against aggro.
I want to point out this Deathlord is like the best card you could get on turn 3 versus Rogue because Rogue pretty much has very few ways to deal with it.
Yeah, right now there's actually no way for Neria to handle it properly. He's going to deal at least 6 damage off of it. And I mean, even though the Rogue gets a minion out of it, it could be something very weak that he wants to combo with. Think Azure Drake for card draw. Think of even, weaker stuff like a South Sea deckhand. And, Humility I think actually plays very well into the Deathlord because even if they, it's kind of like playing 2 Shadow Word Deaths and Priest if you're running Deathlords and Death Rattle Priest, just to guarantee that whatever comes out of it, you're going to have an answer to it.
Yeah, Neria probably definitely wishes he had a Sabotage last turn, by the way. If he had that, that would have been the most insane turn. Like, you kill a Deathlord, summon a minion, and kill your opponent's True Silver Champion, which had 2 charges.
I don't think it gets much better than this.
I take that any day, right?
Yep. And we're looking at the board right now. I mean, that Eviscerate is going to come in handy with the Blood Mage Thanos, perhaps, but this Azure Drake is just going to fall down again.
Yep, might as well Black Knight. Not many taunts in Neria's deck, so you might as well use that for the 4/5 body.
I think the only thing he's running is something like a Sludge Belcher, which is probably the only thing that makes any sense in a deck like this. Alright, big game Hunter.
So I guess it's prep sprint time.
Which I do like. Oh, another prep. Hello.
Wow, you can actually clear this Deathlord now with that second prep. I'm not sure if it's worth it.
Is it worth it? Yeah, I was gonna say, is it really worth it to use a prep on this when you've got something like a Violet Teacher just waiting to be used?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about prepping this right now. I think, you have to tap Tyrion, right?
Yeah, eventually. But I think with this deck, one problem is that there's 2 Guardian Kings in Neria's hand right now.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, in Firebat right now. So Neria is hoping to burst his opponent down, but how can you do that against 2 Guardian of Kings?
Yeah, he's going to be topped off for a few turns in a row, which is really going to put you on a spot as the rogue player. And he sees the Guardian of Kings, he thinks to himself, wow, now I need to get even more damage with the Blade Flurry, this is going to be a problem. And there's, oh wow, okay. There's no card draw, so he has to make do with whatever he's got on the board at the moment.
This is pretty good though. Deadly Poison, Eviscerate, Deathlord. What can you get?
He has to score. He doesn't have another Sludge Belcher that I know of, does he?
No, I think there's only one Sludge Belcher in this deck, so he doesn't have any good options to any cards that he could get are going to be pretty bad. Goblin Auto Barber.
That is not what he wants to see. I think you have to stab the Guardian of Kings back to his hand, right?
Yeah, that doesn't feel that great though. So Neria with this no, he's sapping back the Black Knight. I guess he just really doesn't want his opponent to heal back because the burst damage is so important here.
That's all he's got. All he's got is the ability to perhaps burst next turn. Oh, those 4/1/1s are going to pay dividends for a little bit if they do anything.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do something. This deck, man. You know, Firebat's always been regarded as the best deck builder in the Hearthstone community.
Yeah, I've always considered it so.
And we can, I don't know, we saw him doing really well with his Undertaker Druid, so this might be another hit. It's just Firebat taking this tournament so seriously, just based on the fact that he's bringing such weird decks to it.
I mean, the only thing you're worried about is Firebat here has got to be a Blade Flurry, right? That's the only thing I could see that would scare you. And you know, he has to have the Deadly Poison, number 2 or Tinker Sharp Sword, and the Blade Flurry to make this work.
You could also have a second Deadly Poison plus the Blade Flurry. That would do.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
Well, so.
He would need a combination of another weapon buff plus Blade Flurry.
Yeah, Firebat thought about that for a while.
And there is no Blade Flurry right now, and no card draw either, unless you go for the Blood Mage Thalnos, SI7 it, and then hope for the best. But I don't see that as being a particularly good option.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. Firebat's deck is definitely the more controlling deck, but
Yeah.
we see now that there's so much pressure put on Neria.
Now he's been able to be in the position of playing the beatdown.
What's gonna happen now?
We've got to see. I mean, putting down that SI7, whoa.
Alright, what's he gonna steal?
Oh. 1-1.
That's the best option.
Expected value, 100%. Alright, so right now, Firebat is facing down a board that is actually quite dangerous for him. Oddly enough, because he doesn't have any more damage output in hand that we can see immediately. I like the Neria playing the Blood Mage Thalnos here just for the body, making sure he can get a card cycle. I think that is a really important play.
Yeah, it's Karen Bloodhoof coming down. Such a good card. Like, we talked about how this deck is good against aggro because of all the heals, because of humility, but Karen Bloodhoof is like one of the ultimate anti-control cards because against aggro it's kind of dead usually, but against control it's such a good body.
So, as a Neria here, you know that your opponent has a Black Knight because you sent it back to his hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much damage does Neria have right now, if we calculate? He's got 6, 7, 10, 11. He's got 11 on board. That's not nearly enough to do anything. Alright, he's going to try to draw a card off the Blood Mage. Ooh, Blade Flurry, a massive hit here.
That's a good one.
Yeah, a very good one, in fact. It's not going to win him the game necessarily, but it's going to help quite a bit. I mean, that Karen Bloodhoof, more frustrating than ever. You know, I would have almost considered Tinkers, but...
I think with Tinkers, you have to save that for the end game finisher, and you don't really want to use Tinkers on a one-charge weapon.
No, I understand that, definitely. It's just that it's such a problematic situation, because you're playing your Sludge Belcher guaranteed into the Black Knight of your opponent, and then he's going to finish it off with Karen, and you're going to have to rely on your 1-1s to basically carry you for the rest of the game.
Yeah, this is definitely not a situation Neria wants to be in. He sends his opponent's Black Knight back in the hand, and now Neria is going to get Black Knighted, obviously.
Then again, if you look at... Ooh, ouch. Okay, this is even worse. This is a good game, I think. Yeah, this is a good game. Lethal has been found with the Consecration.
Yeah.
This is exactly 6 damage. I was going to say, actually, Neria had a pretty good chance of winning there if Consecration wasn't drawn, because Black Knight means you can't play Sludge, and no Sludge means you can then follow up with